Yes, you do.
Correct. All in favor?
Just all in favor.
I need a motion to come out of closed session.
I move that we come out of closed session.
Second.
Second by Mrs. Walker. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay. Okay, so we apologize for taking so long. We didn't think it was be that long, but it was actually an extremely tough decision. We want to thank all of you for coming tonight because we would be happy to have any one of you on our board. You're all extremely qualified to be on this board, more than some of us probably. We want to remind both the candidate who was going to be nominated tonight and the other 3 candidates that the election is coming up in November. There will be 4 seats open. So the seat that we are filling tonight, that seat will be open for a 2-year term, and then 3 members are up next, this coming November for 3 3-year terms. 3 seats, 3-year terms. So if you are not the nominated candidate tonight, we do strongly suggest you run, because we were very impressed with all of you, and it was a very tough decision, which is why we had to stay in there. We could have stayed in there longer, actually, but we had to make a decision. So at this time, I would like to open the floor for a nomination for a board vacancy. Mr. Walsh?
I move that we nominate V.J. Castro for the board.
Do I have a
Fill
second?
the
Do I have a second?
An expired term.
Do I have a second? Second by Mrs. Levy. Do I have another nomination? I'll close the floor to nominations at this point. Do I need to just roll call? Okay, so this time we're going to take a roll call on Mr. Castro. Yes, he will be on the board. No, you oppose. Roll call?
Mr. Griffin?
Yes.
Mrs. Levy?
Yes.
Mrs. Shapiro?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
Mr. Walsh?
Yes.
Mr. Darian?
Yes.
Mrs. Nichols?
Yes. So we, again, thank all of you for coming. You can stay for the rest of the meeting or you can leave, but we do really strongly urge you to run in November. Mr. Castro, someone will reach out to you. You will be sworn in at our next meeting. And there are a few things you need to take care of legally before that meeting, so someone will reach out to you, or you can actually call our board secretariat at your convenience. So we thank you all for coming. We appreciate it. Very impressive.
I don't think so.
Okay, 9:10. We thought it would go longer than that, so not too bad. All right, I guess I'm still in the in my report somewhere. So we said goodbye to Dr. Anzo last meeting. We weren't sure he was going to be here tonight, and he informed me we don't need to cry another river for him. However, we did want to get you a parting gift so you would remember your time with us in Oradell, so we don't make a big deal of it, but we thought you could put that in your home office maybe. Sure. And think about us, and when you look at that, you can maybe remember some of Mr. Walsh's comments from tonight about the chair and whatnot, and remember us fondly.
I will.
I wouldn't have made the comment if I brought this chair to the meeting.
It's a beautiful clock. And Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you for your time with us. We appreciate it. And I'm going to hand it over to you.
Great. Well, I have just a couple of very brief comments. It's been a really wonderful 3 years. I'm extremely proud of the time that I've been here, and I very much appreciate the confidence that you had in me and the teamwork that you've shown, the amazing amount of support that you've given to me as a board. And I think that it's been a great collaborative experience. I said last time, and I'd like to repeat, that no person does the kind of work that I do by themselves. It's only possible because of a really wonderful team. And the team here in Oradell is one of the best and best functioning teams that I've ever been part of in my entire career. From the board to the entire central office staff to the school administrative team to all of our teachers, our support staff, all of the parents in this community, our wonderful students, and even some of the other local stakeholders in the community that I've worked with. We've had a great partnership with both the police and the fire department, the OK Kids Foundation, the Rotary Club, and I could go on and on. There are so many things about the community of Oradell that have been really special to me, and I just want to say how much I've enjoyed being a part of this community. So thank you. The other thing that I feel very good about is the fact that our interim superintendent, Barbara Longo, is going to hit the ground running. She and I have spent a couple of days working on her transition, and I'm feeling very confident that you'll be in very good hands to get you through the process of finding a permanent replacement. So with that, the one last requirement is to report on your enrollment. The total student enrollment as of January 31st, 2020 was 764, and the student attendance rate for the month of January 2020 was 94.23. And with that, I conclude my final report as superintendent.
Thank you very much. Mr. Marmora?
No report from me tonight, thank you.
Okay, moving to minutes, review January 22nd. Any questions or comments, please contact our business administrator. We're going to be approving January 6th and our closed session of January 15th. Do I have a motion?
I move that we approve the minutes of January 6th and January 15th.
Second.
Second by Mrs. Walker. Any questions? Call the question.
Mr. Griffin?
Yes.
Mrs. Levy?
Yes.
Mrs. Shapiro?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
Mr. Walsh?
Yes.
Mr. Darian?
Yes.
Mrs. Nichols?
Yes, administrative items. Mr. Darian, would you take that?
Yes, I'd like to make a motion to include item A1.
I'll second it.
Any questions? Call the question.
Mr. Griffin?
Yes.
Mrs. Levy?
Yes.
Mrs. Shapiro?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker? Mr. Walsh?
Yes.
Mr. Darian?
Yes.
Mrs. Nichols?
Yes, buildings and grounds, Mr. Darian.
Yes, we had a meeting on February 4th. The minutes are in your packet. If you have any questions, you can bring them up tonight or anytime. Just send me an email. Basically, we are chasing down issues with the construction downstairs. It seems like it's ongoing, but we're hoping to have it completed before the furniture arrives at the beginning of next month. Both our architect and our contractor are battling it out in terms of who's responsible for what, but between the two of them, they should have it resolved by the 1st of next month. So with that, I'd just like to introduce item B1.
I'll second it.
Second by Mr. Walsh. Any questions? Call the question?
Mr. Griffin?
Yes.
Mrs. Levy?
Yes.
Ms. Shapiro?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
Mr. Walsh?
Yes.
Mr. Darian?
Yes.
Mrs. Nichols?
Yes, curriculum. Mrs. Walker, you want to take that?
I'd like to present C1 through C3. But before we take a vote, I just wanted to say that thank you to the PTA for the $1,000 mini grant that will be applied to, I don't know which one. It starred here, not sure which, I guess the Watson Adventures?
Yeah.
To the 6th grade Watson Adventures. That was a great contribution, $1,000.
I'll second the motions.
Second by Mr. Walsh. Any questions? Call the question?
Mr. Griffin?
Yes.
Mrs. Levy?
Yes.
Mrs. Shapiro?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
Mr. Walsh?
Yes.
Mr. Darian?
Yes.
Mrs. Nichols?
Yes. Finance, Mrs. Shapiro?
No report. We're meeting as a committee on Wednesday. Before I make a motion, I also wanted to take a moment to observe items D6 and D7. D6 is a beautiful, outstanding list of grants from the OK Kids Foundation. We're so appreciative for all the support and all the extras that our kids are getting, and we really so fortunate to live in such a caring community. And also D7 for that same PTA mini grant, which I will not be voting on. So with that, I'd like to make a motion to approve items D1 through D13.
I'll second it.
Any questions? Did I miss it, or do we have the financials for December 31st? The board secretary's report. Am I staring at it?
Yep, those are D3 through D5. I think it was emailed.
Was it emailed? Mm-hmm. Oh, wait, here it is. I just found it. I don't see the other part. Okay. I'll assume it's okay. Any other questions? Call the question?
Mr. Griffin?
Yes.
Mrs. Levy?
Yes.
Mrs. Norian? Oh, absent. Ms. Shapiro?
Yes to all, abstain D7.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
Mr. Walsh?
Yes.
Mr. Darian?
Yes.
Mrs. Nichols?
Yes to all, no to D8. Delegate report, Mr. Walsh?
I have no report, but I will be going to the Odyssey tournament February 29th.
Do we have a meeting?
Yes. I was just going to say, but yeah, we're going to.
Can you add Mr. Walsh to the next agenda? Where is it?
Branchburg, New Jersey.
Personnel, Mrs. Walker?
Thank you. I'd like to, well, before I present, we had a meeting, we planned on a meeting tonight, but it was postponed because we did not have a quorum. So we are going to try to reschedule that meeting, probably before our next scheduled meeting, correct?
Probably.
Yeah.
We're going to try.
Okay. All right, with that, I'd like to present F1 and 2.
I'll second it.
Second by Mr. Walsh. Any questions? I have a question. Is this Eileen Gallagher, our Eileen Gallagher? Oh, okay. That's nice.
Dr. Ansel.
Very,
Question?
Yeah.
You love us.
Dr. Andrews, number A2, should I abstain from the personnel report?
Why?
I mean, it's just because she,
You're a teacher? Are you talking about?
No.
Oh, what do you want?
yeah, no, because she tutors me, my child. Is that something I need to?
Yes.
Okay, good. Okay, thank you. Just thought, I thought so.
Any other questions? Call the question?
Mr. Griffin?
Yes.
Mrs. Levy?
Yes to everything, abstaining to A, number 2.
5A2.
5A2, sorry, my mistake, yes.
Mrs. Shapiro?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
Mr. Walsh?
Yes.
Mr. Darian?
Yes.
Mrs. Nichols?
Yes, policy, Mrs. Levy?
Yes, thank you. We are going to be, I believe, rescheduling our meeting at the end of this month. I apologize, I am required by my full-time job to go on a staff retreat and team building activity for that week. I will also be gone from the next board meeting, as I will be team building. But also included in your packet, you will find 2 policies for first reading. Policy number 3517, which is security and electronic surveillance, and 5142.2. This is first reading, so I don't believe we need to actually have the motion
Right, can you just remove that from the minutes?
from the minutes.
The motion?
And as you all received in your board packets, that we found that these were not approved by the board after doing an audit of all of our policies that were reviewed. So, but however, if anybody has any questions or edits, they should feel free to let me know.
So it's a second first reading.
It's a second first reading, that is correct.
Thank you. Public Relations, Mr. Griffin?
Yes, we have had a meeting on January 21st. The notes are in the packet for you guys, and our next meeting is February 24th. No further updates.
Thank you. Open to the public? Any old business? Mr. Walsh?
Yes, as a senior in Oradell, I want to thank the parents, the students, and the administration for the 6th grade give-back. I think every senior that attended had a good time, and I hope the kids had a nicer time as the seniors did. So I want to thank the 6th grade and their parents.
Mrs. Shapiro?
I just wanted to make a comment on personnel. I noticed that Ms. Kay, the lunch aide, is retiring, and she was so kind to the children, and she deserves to retire, but it's tough to lose such a nice lady, and I saw her recently, and she asked how my daughter was doing. She took care of my daughter at lunch when she was in 1st grade, and she's in 10th grade now. So it's tough to, we wish her well. And then also, I just wanted to commend the school for organizing the pajama day, the wear a pair, give a pair. Kids got to, if they wore pajamas, and they brought in a new set to donate, and school donated over 400 pairs. And I just think that's a really nice way to get the kids involved in, community service. So we're doing all kinds of things in the 6th grade, and it's nice to see.
Where were they donated to? It doesn't matter.
I don't know off the top of... Yes. Yes, that's a better
nice.
story. Thank you for filling that in. Right,
Any
for
other old
foster
business?
kids.
Mrs. Walker?
Just to piggyback on what John said about the sixth grade, the game day with the seniors, but it was special because the parents were so excited too. The sixth grade parents, the children were so respectful, anxious to please. The desserts were fantastic. Everybody enjoyed that. And when you think about it, these kids gave up their afternoon to come and play games, and it was just such a nice interact. And all the things that the sixth graders are doing for other people. So we may be raising geniuses in this school, but that isn't as important as having kind-hearted, good people, and that we are surrounded by here. And that's a big thanks to parents and to our teachers and our administrators for encouraging this, because it takes a village, it truly does.
I just want to give some praise out. Specifically, we talk a lot about engagement and all that. It is extremely impressive to see that there were 7 candidates that came out tonight. The 4 that we heard were incredible. I know you already mentioned it. But for anyone that's listening or whatever, this is what it is. It's people stepping up like the people who came tonight. I really do hope many of those people will go ahead and run. But this board wouldn't be what it was if it wasn't for people being willing to dedicate their time and get engaged. So just a big thank you to everyone who did apply.
And what a difference compared to some districts where, like, you have nobody who steps up at all. You know, like where seats sit vacant. We're so lucky to be in such a caring community.
Any other old business? No old business? New business? I have one item I wanted to bring to the board, maybe as a suggestion. We have always had 9 committees on our agenda to have each board member have a committee. However, Tri-District really has not been a committee in over a few years. We just left it because Dr. Westlake liked to have that committee. You know, he would like to say no report. So I am suggesting maybe that we take this off our agenda for now, as we don't need it. We will have 8 committees for the near future.
Maybe we can get the new superintendent to go after the River Edge and Riverdale.
Well, they do meet. If we ever need it, we can bring it back, but I just want to
Yeah.
get it off of our agenda.
Okay.
Does anybody have any objections to that? Mr. Griffin?
I just would want to go on the record to say that I think, you know, anything we can do as a board to help facilitate that and make that a priority is important. I understand the reason to take it off right now, but, you know, I think that we have some great, you know, administrators that are doing that right now anyway, but I don't want us taking it off of the agenda to speak to the fact that we don't value it.
Right.
I think it should be very clear that we value that kind of integration.
Right. Any other new, Mrs. Levy?
I just took this out of my packet again to make sure that I responded. Just wanted to bring up that in our packets this time was an invitation for us to participate in Read Across America. And I did that last year as a board member. It was a really, really awesome experience in a kindergarten class reading as part of Read Across America. And so we have until just Friday to get back to Amy Brancato to say that we're available on March 2nd. And you could even put your preferred time of day for scheduling purposes. I know I bumped into Mrs. Walker last year. She comes dressed to impress for that day. And it's fun. So just putting that on everybody's radar.
Any other new business?
The other quick thing, is our newsletter going out soon?
There is a draft version of it that Deidre is going to be ready to share within, I think, probably the next several days. I advised her to bring that to the interim superintendent.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else?
Yeah, I have 2 items. I made the mistake, I thought I was going to have it on my phone, but I don't have school email on my phone, I only have it on my laptop. So I was going to refer to 2 items that I have to just now go off the top of my head. One is school boards has a upcoming meeting. It's a multi-county meeting. It's surrounding engagement, public relations, and social media do's and don'ts. I forgot the dates and the location, but if you're interested, I can forward that email to you when I get back. I'll have it on my laptop. The other thing is, and I thought that was coincidental, since it's been stuff that we had discussed this year. The other thing is Matt Lee is going to give a presentation here in the auditorium coming soon.
I'm going to say that.
And I wanted to talk about that. I don't know if, as a board, we feel that, we should have some form of hospitality. I mean, we're having our peers here, for a presentation. I thought maybe coffee and donuts or something in the auditorium. What's your thoughts on that?
I think that's a great idea. I want to tell you that the first thing is, it's Friday, April 3rd is the first one you were talking about, and it's at Mercer County Technical Schools in Pennington. And I think having some sort of desserts for our colleagues is a great idea.
Do you mean our colleagues or the public? You mean like for us or the public?
I think this is a Bergen County meeting.
Yeah, that's what, it's a Bergen County meeting.
It's for school boards.
Which one are you talking about with the desserts?
That's, Matt Lee is presenting for the Bergen County School Boards.
Oh, on what date?
I have it in my,
It's in March, yeah.
Oh, okay, I got
March.
confused there. I was confused for a second.
it's the
Yeah,
next.
March 11th?
Yeah,
Not here, not the one here.
I left my book at home.
Oh,
I don't think it's Matt, though. It's the person from
this is on the mental health.
It isn't, yeah.
Okay,
It's
so
March-
wait,
March
he's presenting
11th, I
on,
He's coming to our board meeting to present
on what? Because I think you're confusing two things.
on, I forgot the subject, I don't have the...
Okay, so he's coming twice, so that's why I think I'm confused. So
Okay.
he's coming in March.
Right, on
Right,
your
that's why I got
meeting,
confused.
your first meeting in March, Matt will be here, but the speaker is the person from the school board's task force who, the task force on mental health that prepared a report for
That's for the public.
school boards. So they're doing a professional development conference around that, and they invited any school board in Bergen County to attend either our presentation or
Right.
the one in Ramsey, I think.
Right.
And I've been informed that at least one other board is planning to come here on that night.
So it's,
Right.
it's board members, though, it's
Yeah.
our
Yes, so
peers.
that night, yes.
Yeah.
I was confused with another night, so yes, we
Okay.
should have something here. We can talk about that. We should
And
have
also,
something
I would
here.
say that Rita and I went to the other training
In Glen Rock.
in Glen Rock, and it was announced there about the March 11th presentation.
Here.
That it would be here, and so I think that that will also bring other people to come here for that.
So that's where we need to have the coffee and the food. Okay, so then we also have to remember that April 1st, Matt Lee will be here at our meeting, and so will our other board attorney, Jeff Merlino, to give us a presentation on community engagement. So I thought that's what you were
Oh,
talking
no,
about
no,
first.
no, I wasn't.
So that's a different meeting, and we need to add that to our calendar, and I don't know if we need to vote on it. Do we need to vote that we're adding a date, or no? Because we already approved it? Okay, so can you just add that and I guess get it online? You have to put it in the paper too, I guess.
Yes.
Okay, so that's what I was getting.
Yeah, no problem. I mean, I didn't have my notes because I didn't have it with me, but at the Glen Rock meeting, did they have any hospitality there?
Yes, it was dinner.
Oh, it's a dinner. That's a
'Cause
Bergen County
that's-
meeting.
Oh, it was
that's
a county meeting.
That's
I
a
see.
county meeting.
Okay.
And just to that, Greg, Robin and I attended, and I thought it was very worthwhile. There were breakout sessions. We had dinner. Nancy and I went last year, I think, but
Rita was blindfolded last year.
not the only time I've ever been blindfolded. However, it was...
Okay.
However, the meeting that I was at, that I wasn't blindfolded, was 2 weeks ago, and it was a very interesting meeting where we did break up into 3 different groups. We had our choice. One of them was regionalization, and that really, again, proved the point. There was a very knowledgeable attorney there who spoke about the fact that not in our lifetime, is what he was saying, would we become subject to even applying for that. And it would be, even if it began and the money is there, but who it goes to will be districts, very large districts, those in South Jersey that really have an intent. And they're starting with districts that are K-12, not our districts here. So, again, there was that breakout session, and I forget the other one.
The other one was on tax abatements and pilots, and what's in it for school districts.
That was very interesting.
Yeah.
On a pilots that towns can go in and get special compensation or relief on taxes, especially this is for developers who can come in and because the towns want to have development. And we're not talking so much about towns like ours where we're not wanting the development due to COVID or the affordable housing. There are towns like Fairview, I think, and some towns that these developers are coming in and they're given this tax abatement, or pilots they're called, where they are getting really grace periods for tax purposes, not to pay the tax. And some they're saying they're even dismissing these huge tax bills just to encourage them to come in and develop. I mean, it's mind-boggling out there. Never heard of it before, and I thought it was really interesting. So, and these meetings are run quite well and very informative and not long and dragged out, so.
I have a couple of comments about regionalization. I did read an article that, and I can't recall off the top of my head again, but there is a district or there's an area in the middle part of the state that's interested in combining. So while I don't think that it'll ever happen here in Bergen County, my personal opinion, somewhere else in the state, they're entertaining the idea. But the state is offering free money for studies, and some of the municipalities are taking up the offer. And our town in particular, there was an interest to conduct a study for free to see what would be the impacts of regionalization on Oradell. So, you know, while we may not be interested as a board, the town, you know, may pursue that. So I don't know, you know, specifically if they're doing it or not. I just remember some conversations that this is a free study and it's just free information, and why not do it? So just something to think about. And that's it.
It's interesting, and we could talk more and not keep everybody here. The lawyer that was there was Joseph Rosello from Schneck Price. But just to go, the way the process is legally put in the books, and the cost that has to come up in terms of you have to have your own special elections that the town has to pay for, and that there's so many hoops that, so if the process is not changed in terms of the law, then the amount of hoops that you actually have to go through makes it virtually impossible to regionalize, because at every step, you know, he went step by step, like he put out the law, and I'd be happy to copy and share this with you, and then what had to happen in order and it really, the way the law is set up, it's really a futile process, unfortunately. And so I guess the whole point of this was that if they really, with how Senator Sweeney is going and has his pathway and all that stuff, they would have to go back to the drawing board on the process to really make it anything realistic.
I do believe there's been one district, and that was South Hunterton, that back in 2017 actually regionalized. But again, all the districts involved, and I forget the number of districts, agreed to do this. Otherwise, as Robin said, every district, every town would have to vote on it, and it can be defeated, so.
I'd be interested in that information.
What I'll do is I'll scan it, and then I can send it to you. I'll be happy to.
Yeah, do you want to send it to John and he can send it to everybody?
Sure, just, yeah, that's fine, I'll do that.
To J2, I should say. Yeah. Anyone else? Any need to go into a closed session?
Again.
No, any need? Motion to adjourn?
Comfortable right now.
Second?
Well, I need a motion.
Oh, make a motion that we adjourn?
I'll second it.
Okay.
Who's going to actually do the hospitality for this meeting in March?
Not me.
Not me.